Hello,
Hi there.
and welcome to our Texas Chainsaw Massacre reviews. We decided to watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. There are
Yes.
9 films. This is number 2.
Yes. Surprisingly, 12 years after the original.
Wow.
Because the original came out in 74, this came out in 86. Yeah, they took a long time. And also, another thing with this franchise, sort of like the Halloween franchise, but even more so, is that this franchise has been owned by so many different film distributions and companies over the years. Like, we started out with, I don't even know what the original ownership was, and then this one's owned by MGM. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, a bunch of different film organizations and companies behind Leatherface and the Texas Chainsaw franchise. So
I think New Line. No, Netflix.
Netflix owns it now, and any
Netflix
properties
and
owning Netflix.
Legendary owns
Yeah,
it now.
before that it was Lionsgate, and then also
Oh, the New Line.
and then also a couple other companies. But yeah, so it's been kind of passed around. I mean,
Yeah.
because this franchise didn't do very well with box office. Anyhow, it's been 12 years later, and
That's how I feel about this movie. No.
sort of like the first one, it starts out with an opening, a rundown with a dialogue and
It's kind of a slow opening.
slow opening,
But it
this
introduces you to the characters.
introduces characters, and this one is just right off the bat, like as soon as that opening intense title card drops, this movie just gets really freaking loose and just really comedic.
And it centers on a radio station host played by Caroline
Yes.
Williams,
Yes,
who was in Hatchet 3.
interesting. Who was she?
She was the one in Hatchet 3 that got her head ripped off.
Oh yeah, okay, you
The
told me that.
reporter,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is a radio DJ, and at the beginning of the movie, like he was just saying, there's an incident with a car and some people.
I didn't say that, but yes.
Well-
Yes, there is. Well, they're in the car, and just the other face is up there, and he's got this chainsaw. And he starts going through the car, and then chops half a guy's head off.
And they're apparently on the radio while this is happening.
They're on the radio, and so they're talking to this radio host, and then she hears them get cut off, and then the driver gets his head chopped off, and then the other guy, because the driver, gets killed via car crash.
Yeah, and then introduce Dennis Hopper, the infamous Dennis
Who
Hopper.
kind of has a showdown at the end of this movie.
Rest in peace.
This movie is much sillier and much more graphic and gorier at the same time.
But I think, isn't
So wacky.
Dennis Hopper's character like a relative of one of the people that died in the first one? Because he's on
I
a
don't
hunt.
remember that.
He's on
actually.
a hunt for Leatherface.
He's on a hunt for letters. I do
I
not
know.
remember
I
who he
can't
is
remember
related
why.
to. I don't remember why he's hunt. I don't even know. I don't remember if they explained that or not. This movie, I had a hard time really diving into the depth of this movie because it's just so superficial.
But it's like he purposely lets Caroline Williams get kidnapped
Yeah.
so that he can find Leatherface. And
Which
then
is-
he has his own chainsaw. His own chainsaw.
This movie.
To fight Leatherface. He's like, "Come and get me, Leatherface." Like, I mean, this is the ending that we all, I guess, have been waiting 50 years for, that already happened in number 2.
We waited for that. We didn't even wait for
Yeah,
it.
we didn't even wait
I
for
don't
it. It
know,
already happened.
I
Like,
think-
with 2 chainsaws.
Well, I think if people saw it, then they probably would have known. But yeah, I mean, all I knew is I've seen a clip of this movie, and originally, okay. In all fairness, when I first saw a part of this a while back, I thought it looked way worse than it actually was. In retrospect,
Yeah.
it's still bad, but
so bad.
but not as bad as I actually thought it was going to be going into this. For what it was, it just goes extreme camp to the max. To the point where you're not scared of any of these characters. If anything, you're more just watching them brutally murder people in sort of this weird, almost I don't know how to explain it. It's like you're watching a slapstick show kind of with gore.
Well, yeah, and Bill Moseley. This is one of his first movies.
Yeah, I mean, I will say he was wacko in this movie. I mean,
As
without using any
Chop Top or
language,
whatever the
he
hell
was
his name is.
wacko. And I don't even remember what is his They don't ever. I don't think he was a character in the first one. What happened to the brother in the first one?
I don't know.
Is he him? I didn't realize.
Be him.
I was wondering if that was him or not, because he has like a metal plate for like half a skull or half a head or something. Like I was like, what? Like it was just random. Like Leatherface comes out of a closet in one scene in the DJ radio station, and like he just like gets his wig and half his like, and he just starts going to his head, and like, I was like, what? And then he chases Caroline Williams up the stairs into like the door to the place to like get in and like try to get her, and Leatherface just is so hell-bent on his chainsaw that that's all he knows what to do.
And then instead of like their house, it's underground in like a cave, and their families I don't know.
This movie's so random.
It's so random. And then,
so weird.
And then it just ends.
Well, it also ends, and then she ends up beends crazy with the chainsaw at the end of the movie.
She's like,
and she ends up almost having the same kind of movements that Leatherface does in the end of the first one. Didn't you notice? Like,
yeah.
She ends up doing kind of like the same thing he does at the end of the first one.
Yeah.
But they never talk about these characters again. They talk about Sally Hardesty a lot in the franchise, even though they don't mention like what she's up to. They mention her a lot. They never go back to these characters.
And they never tell you what happened to Dennis Hopper at the end.
Or Caroline Williams. Yeah, they both.
Because a grenade goes off.
Oh yeah, they don't tell you if he dies or not.
Yeah.
They don't tell you. They don't tell you if he dies. They don't tell you if she becomes like the next killer or what. Yeah, and also, because Leatherface does get attacked. Like he gets like the chainsaw thing. Like
he gets a chainsaw through his gut.
Yeah.
And is like standing there. Like literally.
And
like,
also
what?
And there's 2 sequels. Well, the thing is, I think he still survives somehow, because even though it doesn't make sense, because the next 2 movies we're going to talk about are direct sequels to this one, because there's also like the Halloween universe, if you're familiar. This one has multiple timelines as well, sort of like the Halloween universe. You know how there's like the original timeline 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. Then there's the H2O timeline. Then there's the Halloween 3 timeline, which is completely separate. And then there's the Rob Zombie timeline. This has like the original timeline through 4, the reboot. The
reboot. The beginning goes together.
The reboot, and then there's also the requel franchise, which is
3D, right?
Which is 3D, Leatherface, and then the 2022 movie along with the original.
Yeah.
So it's just a mess. I was looking at the research for that today to make sure I understood like the different franchises, how they broke up. But yeah, this is part of one franchise. Well, I'll there's a segue for like it gets complicated, but yeah, it's sort of like a Halloween franchise in that regard.
You mean to tell me that after he got blown up and a chainsaw in his gut,
3 is exactly a sequel to this.
He is still alive in the 3rd one.
Yep.
In the next generation.
Yeah.
I'm on crack right now.
I looked at the franchise like divvy up of how they do it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the reboot franchises, which is Texas Chainsaw 2003, and then beginning, and then they do Texas Chainsaw. They do Leatherface. Then they do Texas Chainsaw 1974, the original one we just did. Then they do Texas Chainsaw 3D, and then it's the last one they do is Texas Chainsaw from 2022. Is in our timeline. There's 3 different timelines here too. So yeah.
Don't check this one out.
You will, if you like really campy movies and you like a lot of Dennis Hopper. I mean, I was cracking up at times during this movie of how crazy it was.
He was.
It was dumb. It was dumb. I'm not gonna say it wasn't.
So dumb.
But in some ways, I think it made it more entertaining. Although it does like lose its steam at some point and thinks it's so funny, and then it isn't funny anymore. I will say that the first half though is genuinely kind of funny.
Lots of screaming.
I thought. It ends up, being screaming. The battle scene with Dennis Hopper and Leatherface is actually pretty funny and iconic, but also kind of stupid. So I feel...
I honestly can't believe Dennis Hopper did a movie like this.
In one way, I kind of like this more than the original. In one way, I hate this more than the original. So I don't know how to... Because it's such a different movie.
Yeah.
Like, everything I hate about the original, I kind of liked more about this. And everything I hate about this, I liked about the original. So, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're interested, check it out. Otherwise, you can skip this one.
Right. Like and follow for more.
And continue with us for part 3 and onward.
Leatherface is coming up.
Leatherface part 3, not Leatherface 2017. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Because this franchise is wacky. Bye now.
So wacky. Ugh.